Hi, this is Joe. So recently, I went down a rabbit hole. Actually, I went down two rabbit holes. Yep, I was intrigued by a title of a video that was presented by Sending Ravens with Janine on her Telegram. And I wasn't doing anything in particular, so I thought, okay, let me take a look at this. Well, I think the part about it that I liked was that it was told in the form of a personal experience. It wasn't somebody telling me something about something else. It was somebody telling me about what their experience was. It had all the makings of a film noir sort of genre, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I listened all the way to the very end. And the funny thing was, I did this while it was late in the evening. I was actually in bed and I was listening to it. And I seem to recall that I also followed up on that channel and found that there was a more recent video. Well, I typically have zero problem going to sleep, even when there's something interesting that I want to hear, which oftentimes results in me having to listen again the next day, for example. But for some reason, this kept me up, and I wasn't fighting sleep. I was just interested and kept listening. And by now, you're probably wondering, Joe, what was that? What did you listen to? Tell us. Well, you're going to be really disappointed because I have zero plans to tell you what it was. Do you know why? Because it interested me. And I have my preferences. And I'm sure you have yours. And I find it best when we can pick out and choose whatever works for us in terms of what we want to see, read, or listen to. Now, if that's infuriating to you, then, well, you might want to stop listening now. Why is that? Because there's nothing here that you're going to find where I tell you what is or what isn't. Is there? Especially for anyone who's listened to my work over the last, well, ever since I started posting regularly. No. Instead, my opinion, and that's all it is an opinion. My opinion is that we each have our own preferences, what we want, what we're looking for. We're being bombarded with so many different things to look at. We're already pretty good at filtering out what we want to look at, what we don't want to. And in a sense, it's very much like films, like movies. Some movies appeal to one individual, and those same movies may not appeal to another. So, what's the purpose behind this message? Why did I call it Down the Rabbit Hole? Because that's where I went. And the next day, I couldn't even regain my balance. I was so thrown out of whack because of what I heard. My whole worldview was turned upside down. Actually, none of that's true. It was interesting. I enjoyed it. I found it intriguing. It was entertaining. Don't know if it's true, 100% true, 50% true, not true at all, fully made up. I don't know. But it was entertaining. And I knew I was down a rabbit hole, but I didn't expect to come out with something that would make a difference in my day-to-day. No, instead I thought, wow, I enjoyed it. So with that said, and with a little wisdom from our friend White Cloud, for anybody who listens to Blossom, his wisdom was,
let us go into this machine that we are looking at, this internet, that has within it now every possible, conceivable, probably, suggestion of this, that, or the other. So much so that there is so much confusion. And that is why we, in a sense, say, don't jump down too many rabbit holes, because you are not necessarily sure who dug that rabbit hole out and what their intention was, and whether or not it is an actual fact or truth.
And by now, I'm sure most people listening to this message and the ones on this channel here already understand that there's something greater than what meets the eye in our outer world, and have made a conscious choice to turn their focus inward to that inner world where there's so much more possibility, so much more untapped creativity. You've heard this from me before. There's so much more that we have within us that we can use to help to lead a life that's much more enriching, perhaps, enjoyable, fun, happy, despite everything that's going on. And I'm not saying that we bury our heads in the sand. No. I'm saying that we see everything for what it is and recognize that since we have done a fair amount of work on ourselves, that we see things from a different light, not to be pushed and pulled as some would have us do, but instead to observe them, recognize that occasionally, yes, we get caught up in them, and then we pull ourselves back out, and we recenter, we reorient ourselves, and we continue on living the life that we choose, not the one that's selected for us, not the one that's programmed for us, if you will, aided by television and other forms of media. So let's see. Where do I want to leave this? I think I would like to leave this by acknowledging you for doing your part in ensuring that you maintain your balance despite what's going on. You doing your best to live your best life despite what's going on. And yes, your life may not look exactly like you want it. Many of ours hardly ever do. But with acceptance, with compassion, for self especially, with understanding, well, it sure becomes that much more possible, doesn't it? Yeah. So, I hope you're enjoying your summer if you live in the Northern Hemisphere. For those of you in the Southern Hemisphere, I feel cold about that already. All right. Thanks for listening.